In SQL Server 2005, 2008, and still in the package deployment model, you would deploy packages into SQL Server's MSDB database or to the file system. But with the project deployment model that was introduced in SQL Server 2012, you deploy it to the SSIS Catalog. Deploying to this model enables you to activate some of the newer features in SSIS like environments and parameterization of packages. Deploying packages is simple using the Integration Services deployment wizard. By deploying packages to the catalog, it enables packages to be run in a separate Windows process. And during the execution, events that are produced by the package are captured automatically and saved to the catalog. These events can be later queried using Transact SQL views. Let's see how to deploy packages to the catalog. Like we have discussed earlier, the deployment wizard is the easiest way to deploy packages to the catalog. You can access this wizard through SSDT by right-clicking a project and clicking on Deploy. This wizard installs your packages by asking the administrator a few questions. It also creates the .ispac file, which is a single file that can be handed to a customer or to the DBA to install your project. Once the wizard is open and you bypass the opening screen, you're asked which server and folder you want to deploy your project to. So let's click Next. And let's select the server name to be SQ Operations. You can click on Browse to go to the data warehouse folder that you have earlier created. Click on OK. And let's click on Next and Deploy to deploy your packages. You can click on Close. Now let's check and see if the packages have been deployed. Let's go to Management Studio, connect to that server, click on Integration Services Catalogs, go to the catalog, and into the folder, click on Projects, and expand the project itself. And when you expand packages, you can see all of the packages that have been deployed here. And while deploying using the deployment wizard, you'll also be warned if the packages are already on the server. Remember that if the packages are already there, you can override them by proceeding, and a version of your old project is retained on the server. Another way to launch this wizard is from the .ispac file. You can locate your file in your projects folder under the bin development subdirectories. Let's see how to do that. Let's go back to Visual Studio. Let's click on File, Save Selected Items. Let's copy the location. Control C. Let's open Windows Explorer. Control V. And let's go to Bin, Development, and if you expand the type, it says Integration Services Project Deployment File. And if you click on it, it will open up the same wizard that we've seen before, and you can follow the same steps to deploy the packages. And another way to open up the deployment wizard is through Management Studio. You can do that by right-clicking on Projects, click on Deploy Project. It will open up the same wizard and you can follow the same steps as before. So, now that we have seen how to deploy packages in the project deployment model, let's see how to deploy packages in the package deployment model. Let's click on Cancel. In the project deployment model, you can always deploy every package in the project. With the legacy package deployment model, you deploy packages individually. You can do this in Management Studio by connecting to the Integration Services services and selecting Import, or you can do it in SSDT by opening the package and selecting the file and clicking on Save Copy As. The final way to deploy packages in the package deployment model is with the Package Installation Wizard. Let's see how to do that. So let's go back to SSDT and open a solution. and let's convert it to package deployment model. Click on OK. And now let's right-click on the project, go to Properties, Deployment, and select Create Deployment Utility to True. Click on Apply and OK. And now let's build this project. And as you can see, the build succeeded. And now let's go to File, click on Save As, and find the location of this project. Go to File Explorer, go to Bin, Deployment, and as you can see, there is a file of type SSIS Deployment Manifest file. And once you click on this, it will open up the same wizard that helps you to deploy the projects. So, now that we have learned how to deploy the packages, let's see how to configure them. This lesson will show you how to configure the packages when they are in project deployment model. Configuration is a property value pair that you add to a completed package. Earlier, configuring packages was clunky and in many cases unsecure, as storing passwords of packages would have been in clear text. Microsoft spent much of SQL Server 2012 development efforts focusing on that exact thing. You can now configure packages much more easily as long as they are in the project deployment model. And you can only configure packages that are deployed to the catalog. As an example of when you can use this is when you have just finished development of a project and now want it to run in production by changing all the connections to point to the production versus development. Parameters are used in place of configurations for the project deployment model. Some of the configuration benefits include ease of moving packages between environments, making packages more flexible, and being useful when deploying the same package to multiple environments. And one really nice feature in SSIS is the ability to create environments. Environments are collections of properties for a customer, store, or workgroup. For example, let's say that your server hosts multiple customers, customer A and customer B. You could create an environment for each customer and then, when you go to run or schedule the package, run it under a given customer settings with a single click. Server environments were introduced in SQL Server 2012 for the Integration Services Catalog. Each folder in the Integration Services server contains a number of environments, and adding an environment to a folder means exposing a set of values and allowing them to be used when the package is executed or validated in the Integration Services Catalog. Now that we have learned a little bit about configuring the packages and environments, let's see how to do that. Let's go to Management Studio, and to help with this demo, I've created another project under the folder Test Configuration with two packages. Let's go to Environments first, and right-click, Create Environment, and let's name this Customer 1 and click on OK. Let's create another environment called Customer 2 and click on OK. And now let's go to each environment and create a variable. Let's call it where auditing DB of type string, and let's set the value to customer 1 audit database. Click on OK, and let's repeat the same thing for customer 2 environment. Variables, and click on OK. Now let's configure the project. Let's go to Projects, right-click on this new one, click on Configure, Go to References and let's add the environments by clicking on Add. Let's click on Customer 1 and Customer 2, and now let's go back to the Parameters tab. And for the sauditDB parameter, let's select to use the environment variable that we've just created. Click on OK. And that's it. Your package is now configured. And let's see how to run this package in a later lesson. Now that you've learned how to configure the packages, let's see how to configure the service.